Fine. Welcome to the second session of third unit, web services and its types. So here we are going to see the types of web services in aspect in which environment we can use the corresponding types of web service. What are all the support we have to implement and consume this web service, right? So these are all things that we are going to discuss today. So recapping with the previous session. Okay. So what are all the communication channels available for a web service? How we can communicate? How the web services will communicate? That is their question. So what would be the best option here? You can post it in the chat. Either A and B are options are going to be same one, right? A and B options are going to be the same one because they are going to talk about on HTTP. SOAP. So we have discussed something on SOAP, right, in the last session. So based upon that idea, could you able to convey what could be the best option? Any options in the chat? No options. You can put your answers in the chat, right? So the option could be all of this because all options A, B, C is going to talk about the communication medium for web service only, right? We'll see in detail how these things are going to come into picture. Okay. Exposing a standalone SOAP endpoint using the dash. So nothing but we are talking about the service access point of the corresponding type of web service. Okay, type of web service. So while dealing with the type of web service, we'll be having SOAP based web services, RESTful web services. There are two types of web services will be there. Even you can implement your web service in any of your known environment. Either I may create a web service in Java or I may create a web service in any one of the Microsoft technologies. Right? So here they have talked purely based upon Java based web services. Right? So these Java based web services are being mentioned here. So option A and B could be the best option here. Next, what are the different types of assertions used in SOAP UI? Okay, SOAP UI. SOAP UI is nothing but is completely built upon on our XML. Okay, SOAP UI. SOAP UI is a interface for you to communicate between the application and services. So contains and not contains. It is like a filter. Okay, it is like a filter which is available in our Java itself. XPath and Xquery. Already we have learned in XML related technologies. XPath will identify the position of my child node. Xquery will help me to create uh, like it's a querying mechanism like my SQL, right? So assertions here represent the that could be the leaf node, right? That I am ready to access. So ultimately to retrieve the stored content. So in that case, all these three things will help for me. What can we do with the SOAP UI, right? So I have introduced this intentionally to give you understanding what is SOAP UI, right? For the purpose only this MCQ was introduced. So it will offer you the testing platform for my uh, web service environment. Testing platform. So I could able to perform functional testing, load testing, data-driven testing in automatically, right? It's an automated testing. Automated testing. I could able to perform it, right? It's enough. When I'm going to write my Java web service in the environment means by default it will generate these things. That's it. That's it. Uh, SOAP UI will pass the values in supporting with the JUnit. If I'm going to work in Eclipse, SOAP UI will combine with my JUnit. JUnit is the platform to perform unit testing, right? So the SOAP UI will communicate with the JUnit, will perform all these types of testing. Okay, and it provide a report also. These are all the inputs supplied by me. These are all the uh, time that the input is being passed, and this is the time that I have received the output. So likewise, it will hold, as well as what are all the services which are recently accessed. That is also being available through our assertions, right? It is having a separate interface. I will show you. So that the interface through that window, I could be able to locate my services also by our UDDI. Okay, so SOAP UI is having this feature. So primarily it is used for testing. Second thing, it is ready to give me a log report. Third one, it is ready for helping me to locate services also through the assertions. Assertions are nothing but built-in services and stored services which are ready to view for me, and I could be able to consume and use it. That's what the idea, or these are all the features of SOAP UI. Groovy script, right? So this also I want to introduce here. These are the terms that you must know when you are going to work with web service. In those initial days, how people have worked, currently how they are working with. So you must know the history, as well as you must know the upgrade, what you have, another thing. This Groovy script, which it is purely like, or it completely inherits the features of Java, right? Exactly, you have to write like this only. The class name, what you will give, as well as the corresponding main method that you will give. Then inside that you will write, normally if I want to print a name, system.out.println. Instead of that, what I will do, I will write println of RIT. So likewise I will give. This could be the basic syntax of the Groovy script. Okay. So what could be the ultimate aim of this Groovy script is, it would be used like my JavaScript, how I will be working with my XML, right? It will help me for event handling, right? Likewise, this Groovy script will help me for event handling. Why specifically that I have used Groovy script means, JavaScript is purely based upon browser friendly, right? Browser friendly. When server centric tasks are going to happen, the role of JavaScript will be minimized because it is browser enabled and client side validation, right? For server side scripting, I can move for servlet JSP, right? But these people will give me some LOCs to be more, right? As well as I have to learn new things on that. I need to know, I need to remember some packages, etc., etc. But here, the packages are ready-made that are available in Java, can be used as it is. This Groovy script, right? So my learning duration also will get reduced, as well as adaptability could be more. The simplified way of writing programs like our Python, it would ready to support this Groovy script, right? So even I could be able to test a web service by writing the Groovy script. That's what they are ready to convey. Whether this web service exists or not, I could be able to check with that. That is what script assertion. Okay, so I could be able to test all types of environment. See here, the SOAP UI is powered with the Groovy script. That's it. SOAP UI is powered with the Groovy script. So if I want to test a corresponding web service means, I will write the code in Groovy script. Okay, so that Groovy script will be ready to test on the web services in the server environment itself. That's a major thing that which is ready to provide us. Right, that is the advantage of using Groovy script. So Groovy script has a separate tutorial. It's content beyond the syllabus. Students who are interested, that you can go through Groovy script, and you have online compilers are available that you could be able to use it, and you can, if you are having flare knowledge on Java, you could be able to use it in an effective way. That's the role of Groovy script. Right, so this could be the best options. Both A and B can be performed using my Groovy script. Right, now we have a discussion, right, on web service and its types. So in the last session, I want to carry out from the last session. Still some clarification that we need web service, right? See, there is an SOA external architecture is available. It is ready to combine. It is ready to combine all types of services in a heterogeneous place. That's it. Company A is having a web service. Company B is having a set of web service. Company C is having a set of web service. See the right side, left side, and bottom. Three companies are there. They are having their own web services. While they are going to deploy in the company D, that is the client side, the software that the client side is going to use all these three web services, and these three web services could communicate with each other and give a single task, right? Whatever the functionalities. I am not going to implement or deploy any software in the company, right? I am going to give them a URL, that's all. Through that URL, they are going to access their software. That's it, right? How that software is going to work? It is nothing but an SOA framework which is being laid down on completely on web services being collected from company A, B, C. Some customized framework. I am, for example, I am using only one web service from company A, one web service from company B, two web services from company C. These four web services are enough for this software. So by combining these four web services, I am going to give them a single URL for company D. Through that, they will access and work. Right? That's all. For them, we have given them software. That's enough. But at the back side, how it is going to work? At the rear side, how it is going to work? How these web services will communicate with each other. Right? The role of SOAP will come. How the web services will identify each other. The role of UDDI will come. Okay? How the web services will communicate with each other in terms of security. SOAP will come into picture. So these three elements that what we have seen yesterday, SOAP, UDDI, WSDL, these three people will play a vital role on these things regarding web service identification, discovery, accessing, consuming, data transfer. Everything will be taken care of by these three people alone, right? So these three things are being configured in our SOA platform. To represent that only, these things are there. But company D, for company D, it is completely abstract. They don't know that these many number of web services are combined to give you a single software. It's completely abstract because using a single URL only that they are going to access. So that could be the case regarding the clarification of web service further. Okay. So again, I want to get into you something to understand further. I think this diagram is very famous during 2015, 14, 15, because that is the time IoT is very famous. 2014, 15. Even some of our IT alumni have performed a project, Smart Helmet, nothing but using IoT and using some web service, and they did those things, right? So you could able to see that in the experience APIs, you could able to see in the top, all those things are devices, right? All those things are devices completely, and you could able to see at the bottom, you could able to see everything in terms of software and hardware, right? Software and hardware, which are, I think I could, otherwise I could able to convey in this way, right? These are all processing engines, right? Which are available at the bottom. How this processing environment is communicating with my devices. This is the term that we have seen as a principle in SOA, service composition, the process of mapping process with the service. That is what service composition. So here what we are doing, we are ready to map the system APIs with the experience APIs. That's the major clarity that we want to give on over there. And we have a discussion also. What is the difference between API and web service? That is also a case, right? API and web service. So I want to bring a clarity on these things also, right? But this diagram and this image will give you an idea. I will be consuming from my device, right? I will be working with I'll be supplying my input. It will process something. It will give me the required output. That's all. That is the only thing being experienced by me as a end user. But who are all connected and giving these things for me? That's the main idea, right? Okay. For example, if I am going to access the content for my connected car, in that case, what are all the things are involved on that, right? For me, a dashboard is enough. That's all to ready to access. What are all the features I am expecting in the dashboard? So regarding it need to provide me a map. It need to inform me regarding any leakage. It need to inform me regarding any type of threats, or it need to inform me if my tire is going to puncture, or it need to inform me the this is the time and date that I need to change my oil, right? This is the time and date that I have to give my vehicle to service. So likewise, on preventive measures, or it has to give me some prescriptive analytics on this, right? So these are all the features that could be available in my dashboard. But who are all working for this at the backside? So set of things that I could able to pick it out from the things which are available at the bottom of this section from system APIs, right? And I could able to identify you web service is one of the system API, right? You could able to see that web service and RESTful web services. We will see the types of web services, right? So these people will help me to access this service in an abstract manner. I don't know where it was, right? How they are communicating with each other and composing the connections happening between these people. For example, Audi have their own cloud of softwares. Assume that we are having some ready-made SaaS apps for Audi. So in that case, that apps will ready to work for my dashboard. The data, whatever I am being retrieved from my car, is ready to be stored in some of the storage environment. Assume that it may be a mainframe, right? So how they are communicating with each other. So when I'm going to when I'm going for my service, the data will be retrieved from my mainframe, but the data are being processed by a SaaS app, a cloud app, right? So how they are communicating with each other, everything will be abstract. But how they are going to communicate with each other, main components are SOAP, UDDI, WSDL. These three people will help me to communicate, even though they are heterogeneous, right? That's the role of the connected things here that I want to stretch it upon. Web service is the thing that we are using, right? And we are people are going to scrap it soon because microservices are entering into the field. Next generation of web services that I want to convey about that, right? We'll see at the end of this session, right? So this could be the flow that how web services can be used and can be abstracted. So this is what I want to bring it upon for you. What is the difference between API and the web service, right? So normally APIs will be available within a program or within an app, or I may call it within a program, or it may be available in a web server, or it may be available in a web server. Either it may be available with a code, or it may be available in the web server itself. This is what API. But what about a web service? Web service will be available only in the web server. IIS is the web server for my Microsoft. Okay, so I assume that for us, if I am familiar with Java, I will be having these things in the Tomcat. Okay, make sure that web services are not open source, because I could able to write my web service in Java as well as I could able to write my web service in C#. Okay, but how they are communicating with each other, that is the place that we have a gap over there. Okay, so APIs are completely open source. Please remind that APIs are completely open source, but web services are not open source. When APIs are going to communicate, they will use XML. But when web services are going to communicate, the place where our future of interoperability will come that can be projected through either XML or JSON, because nowadays we are ready to work with lightweighted applications only. Okay, JSON. API is a lightweight architecture. Web services are not lightweight architecture because they require SOAP to send and receive network data. Okay, what is this lightweight architecture? It is ready to communicate with my phones easily, right? Mobile devices, not only mobile devices, any devices which are portable. In that case, APIs will be help a lot. But pertaining to web services, already I have conveyed you, web services are available in my web server only. So in that case, the usage of communication, the communication between web service to web service or web service to application could be, it won't be in the lighter fashion. That's what the thing they are ready to convey. So what are all the types of communication? So APIs could able to communicate any medium, but web service will have a restriction. They may use, these are all the types of web services. SOAP is a type of web service. REST is a type of web service. XML RPC, remote procedure call, it is a type of web service. This XML RPC is like a OSI model for our network architecture, but practical model is TCP/IP, right? Likewise only, XML RPC is the theoretical model. SOAP and REST are practical model to be implemented over XML RPC, right? So that is the thing that you need to remember. So APIs will ready to support my URL, but web services will purely rely on the application layer protocols. So using URL, I could able to access it, but web services will communicate only via application layer protocols, right? If you want to convey in very simple fashion, web service will communicate using some XML programs. That's what. Request is a XML program, response is a XML program, but APIs would not be like that. I'll show you those things also. I'll show you in the forthcoming slides. Similarities. What is the similarity between API and the web service, right? So this one you must have it in a understanding in a clear way. Both can be accessed via application layer. That's the thing they want to convey here. Consumers and service providers can communicate through application layer itself, right? I am accessing my service through my AWS login. Okay. Both call a function, process data, and receive a response. Nothing but the client server centric or peer-to-peer content based on these architectures, they are ready to function. That is the thing they want to stretch it upon. These are the common features happening or available for my web services as well as API. Okay, so I think that will give you a vast clarity. Now, types of web services. Already I have conveyed you XML RPC is a theoretical model, so don't worry about that. But practical contents are SOAP and REST. SOAP web services, RESTful web services. Okay, how they are communicating. See the diagram in the first bay. Consumer and provider are communicating via service SOAP protocol, simple object access protocol. They are communicating via that. So my communication is here. See that is a WSDL program. Communication is a program. What is my response? See, they have queried about roll number 7. Regarding 7, what are all the data they are retrieving? See the response from the provider. Again, the response is a WSDL program. So in your client side, it won't visible for you like this. So what you will do? In a text box, you will type number 7 and press enter. In the response side, while it is going to come in a tabular form, it will give all these contents: name, phone, class, address. Likewise, I will get all these data, right? Could you able to interpret this? So just assume it virtually, right? So you are going to type something and it is, you are going to retrieve something. So what you are sending, what you are receiving, that's the place it is ready to differ here. In SOAP, I am sending a WSL program or XML program. Response, again I am getting a XML program. That's what happening in my SOAP. But while we are coming for my RESTful web services or REST web services, in that case, I am sending my URL, right? This is the URL. See that the complete website name / the particular domain / the particular web service / parameter to be passed. Everything I have been given over there, right? including parameter, it is being passed. If I press enter, it will load the corresponding data very clearly. So how can I differentiate my SOAP and REST? There lies the major role to understand. So SOAP will communicate through request and response messages in terms of programs only, but RESTful web services will communicate based upon HTTP, nothing but URL. And you could able to see they are mentioned in blue color. Either they may use a post or get method, right? What we have seen in our servlet. So what could be the major difference between REST and SOAP, right? REST is a software design or it's a software architecture, but SOAP is a protocol. And again, I want to tell you, SOAP is a standard actually, right? It is being it's claimed by W3C, right? But REST is not a standard. Okay, it is having some set of APIs, but I could able to use it. Okay, so that's the important thing that you need to focus upon. Okay, so here you could able to work with the applications directly. Okay, but here it would not be like that. You can work with some modules of the application directly on REST, right? That will increase your risk of security. So that's the major case. REST. Anyone can see the transaction. That is the major case. Even though it supports SSL, secure socket layer, but it is very easy to break it if I know the packet format to identify your payload, right? And heterogeneous communications, that means a web service in Java, another web service is in C#. While they are going to communicate, REST will end in ambiguity. It will take time to access and consume the web service, or will take time to communicate the corresponding content. But SOAP has a standard communication using XML, right? C# data will be converted into XML data. XML data will be transformed on the channel. XML program reached the destination. XML data will be represented in terms of the way Java understands. So when two heterogeneous entities are going to communicate, SOAP will have a proper standard over on that. But here it will not be like that. And the major advantage people will be going for REST is it is scalable. That is the main case. But SOAP, it is not scalable. The reason is when you are going to increase the functional requirements, you have to write again a separate SOAP. You have to generate the SOAP again, right? You have to generate a WSDL program again. That could be the major thing. But the REST don't have such type of thing, because you can normal program, right? Normal program, how you are accessing a servlet, how you are accessing a JSP program, the same way. So even you are going to increase your LOCs or increase your functional requirements, nothing to worry. You are going to access using URL. That's it. Okay. So that could be the content that need to be talked over on that. Okay. So, and regarding CRUD, right? CRUD. I think everyone will know about that. CRUD. CRUD. Right? Create, retrieve, update, delete. These operations is something have what do you call it? The term of reliability, right? The term of reliability. This CRUD operation can be compromised when you are going to work with the REST, but when you are going to work with the SOAP, you have absolute transparency. You can't be able to do anything with that. That is the reason why most of the not only most, all the e-commerce based transactions will rely on SOAP only. Okay, so that could be the case. So whenever we are having the systems are going to be highly critical, yes, where highly reliable factors are going to be stored. In that case, REST will not be preferred. That's the major case. That's the reason why what people will do, for internal service management, people will use REST. For external service management, they will use SOAP. If you come across this diagram, here, when internal services are going to communicate, they are ready to allow to use with our REST. But when company A with the company B, if they want to communicate, they will go for SOAP. That could be the major case. But you have the privilege to access to communicate between A and B via REST. But it is something we have issue with security. That's the reason why. Because passing a number directly and getting the data directly like this would be a tough job, right? Even I think you when you're going to type your username and password on a servlet page, you could able to see in the bar once you press OK. For mobile banking websites, you could able to see. For internet banking websites, you could able to see. When I'm going to type my username and password, it will create some dual token on the status on the address bar. You could able to see that login equal to and symbol, password equal to. It will ready to supply the parameter in a encoded token, right? So that can be once if you know the algorithm, it's very easy for us to break. That's the reason why people are suggesting to work with the REST-based services only on the reliable platforms within the known environment. But SOAP can be used globally. This could be the architecture that I want to differentiate between SOAP and REST. So how the applications are going to communicate with each other. It's like your layer, right? Start from here and end from there. So like we say, could be able to communicate. Through application layer protocols, both of them will communicate in that no issues, right? Any application layer protocol, which are responsible for remote based environment, which are responsible to communicate with which is ready to access with the remote. In that case, SOAP will function, right? But REST will purely rely upon HTTP or HTTPS, only these two protocols. And the methods what it will support is nothing but get, post, put, delete. So these are all my methods which are purely dedicated for request, response, etc. Right? Doing operations. Here you could able to see endpoint URI. Here you could able to see resource URI. Resource URI is nothing but the URL that they are mentioning. Unique resource identification. That's what URL, unique resource location. That's what they were ready to mention. So endpoint URI means it will not convey you the content directly. That is what it will tell you the place. You have to go and confirm that this is what I want access. It will ask you a credential. That credential is nothing but your web service name, right? That web service name, when you are going to supply, your wrapper will be opened and the corresponding content will be given towards you. That is the difference between endpoint and resource. In resource URI, you can go and access the resource directly, but here it is not the fashion. You have to go and access the corresponding service access point, SAP. If you are going to access a wrong service access point, your request will be discarded. That's it, right? So what are all the output formats that I could able to see? That's what they are given in the white color. At the top, you could able to see, right? My representation formats. The reason formats are nothing but JSON regarding our REST. But so that we are ready to stick with some specific thing. For example, I'm having WSFL, okay, WSDL. So likewise, I have some specific languages to work with. Still, you don't understand what is SOAP and REST. This diagram will give you a very clear-cut fashion. SOAP is like an envelope. I think you people are not the generation using inland letter and postcard, but we have used it. Okay, so SOAP is like your envelope. So what I will do, I will write a letter, I will fold a letter, I will keep it inside a cover, I will affix it with a gum, I will paste a stamp, and I will do my data communication. But while I'm coming for the postcard, what will happen? Front side, I will write from to back side, I will write the content directly, right? So only people at the destination could able to open my envelope and they could able to see the content what I am having, right? That's what it's like a layer over there. But REST web service is not like that. Ultimately, it's like a postcard. If you turn back, you could able to see what is the content available there. It's ready to be cached. Okay, it might be a lightweight, right? RESTful web services are going to be a lightweight, but the content over there is the payload is visible to everyone. That is the major difference between SOAP and REST. I think this diagram will give you a clear picture on this, right? Clear picture on this. SOAP will be like a wrapper over the content, but REST is not like that. It's purely a carrier. Just you turn back the carrier, that will convey you what's happening, right? What is the data you are communicating between the service and the your client that I could able to find out, right? So this diagram will give you some clear idea on this. Okay, so by here I will stop my discussion, and I want to bring you a content here. Yes, regarding this IoT based contents, right? Just design a web service that is ready to be accessible for your mobile, right? Since you people have already completed your mobile application development lab, if I assume, if I'm not wrong, you can try to create a Java web service, because most of them are having Android mobile phone only. So just to create a Android web service, a Java web service that will convey the current temperature. It is available ready-made somewhere else, right? Already a web service will be available in your phone also, right? You are going to write your own, or you are going to pull up your own web service. Already the model what you are having, the phone what you are having, the device what you are having has its own API, has its own web service. When you are going to place the corresponding web service, check that the web service brought in by you is communicating with the web service which is already available on the phone, right? Otherwise, this is a way to test the web service. Second thing is change the local time. Okay, change the local time of the web service, because it will work purely based upon that. So instead of keeping your network operator's time, just you change your conventional time. So set it for some other country's time, and download the download your own web service. Now make it ready to communicate. How they are communicating, there will be a time lag. So in that case, how they are communicating with them and correcting their local time, right? That is also a way how they are communicating. Okay, when your mobile is going to link with Android Studio in the part of your AVD, ultimately it will convey you. There will be a miscommunication happening between web services. It will be exhibited in your Android Studio in terms of a yellow color triangle with an exclamation mark. Will tell you that some web services are malfunctioning. It is ready to protect you, right? So by that I could able to convey you the apps which are available within our devices are ready to communicate between them via web services only, right? Via web services only. That could be the main thing. And again, I'll insist you on that. That is communicating via RESTful web services only, right? That's the major thing. RESTful means representational state transfer. That is what RESTful. Representational state transfer. SOAP, simple object access protocol, right? So that's the case that I want to bring it upon here. If you have any clarifications, you can post it upon that.